Welcome back to Second Chance Hearts, where lost loves find their way home. Today's story is titled Stolen Treasure, Rekindled Hearts, a Roman Mystery. The Roman sky, heavy with the promise of a storm, mirrored the tumultuous landscape of Elara's heart. 15 years. 15 years since she last breathed this air, walked these cobblestones, or felt the searing, exhilarating presence of Evander Rossi. Now, here she was, at the grand, ancient Rossi Belmonte villa, invited for the unveiling of the mythical tapestry of Vesta, the very place their story had begun, and abruptly ended. She adjusted the silk scarf at her neck, its emerald green a bold splash against her cream linen blazer. Her dark auburn hair, always threatening to escape its loose bun, felt damp with the evening's humidity. Around her, a symphony of hushed Italian greetings, the clinking of glasses, and the distant rumble of thunder. Elara found herself scanning the elegant faces, a familiar ache tightening her chest. She twisted the silver ring on her right hand, a nervous habit she'd never quite broken. Then she saw him. Across the opulent salon, beneath a fresco depicting a vestal procession, stood Evander. 45 now, but the years had only carved a deeper, more compelling wisdom into his features. Silver threaded through his dark, slightly unruly hair at the temples, and his deep-set blue eyes, once purely boyish in their enthusiasm, now held a hint of weary melancholy, though they still sparkled with an undeniable curiosity. He was in a perfectly tailored dark suit, a vision of effortless Italian sophistication. A faint scent of ancient stone and sandalwood seemed to precede him. Evander. The name was a whisper, a ghost of a memory given breath. He turned, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, then locking onto her. A flicker of surprise, then something far deeper. Recognition, regret, perhaps even a spark of that old fire. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she remembered well.
Alada, mio Dio, you're here.
His voice was a low murmur, rich and resonant, stirring embers she thought long dead. I was invited. The tapestry of Vesta, an intriguing discovery. I specialize in ancient textile restoration, after all.
Of course. I heard you'd become quite renowned. Professor Vance speaks highly of your work.
A formal distance, a carefully constructed wall. She felt the familiar sting. And you, Evander, the Evander Rossi, consultant to the Vatican, advisor to every major historical society. Your star has certainly risen.
It has its moments.
The air crackled with unspoken words, with the weight of 15 years of silence. Before either could navigate the treacherous waters of their past, a sharp, authoritative voice cut through the salon.
Excellente! My esteemed guests, welcome to the unveiling of the Veridian Clasp, the heart of the tapestry of Vesta.
All eyes turned to the Contessa, a formidable woman in her late 70s, draped in emerald silk, standing beside a velvet-draped pedestal. On the pedestal, nestled in a display case, was an object of breathtaking beauty, a small, intricately carved silver filigree clasp, shimmering with a faint green luminescence. It was rumored to have adorned the robes of the high priestess of Vesta herself. A collective gasp rippled through the room. The clasp truly was magnificent. As the Contessa began to speak of its history, the first fat drops of rain splattered against the tall villa windows, and the distant thunder grew louder, a dramatic punctuation to her speech. Elara glanced at Evander, who was watching the clasp with an almost proprietary intensity. The evening progressed, a whirl of prosecco and polite conversation. Elara found herself cornered by Dr. Marcus Thorne, a rival archaeologist, known for his sharp tongue and even sharper ambition. He wore a sneer as if it were a permanent accessory.
Ah, Elara Vance. Still chasing ancient threads, I see. A pity the truly significant discoveries are always elsewhere, like this clasp. Quite a find, though I still have doubts about its provenance.
Doubt is the hallmark of a lazy scholar, Dr. Thorne. The carbon dating is unequivocal.
Or easily manipulated. One has to wonder with the Rossi Belmonte reputation for acquiring certain items.
His gaze flickered towards the Contessa, then to Evander. Elara noticed a subtle tension in Evander's jaw. She excused herself, feeling a prickle of unease. Moments later, a piercing shriek echoed through the villa. The sound cut through the clinking glasses and hushed chatter like a shard of ice. Every head snapped towards the pedestal. The velvet drape lay crumpled on the floor. The display case was empty. The Veridian Clasp was gone. Chaos erupted. The Contessa's face, usually a mask of regal composure, was now a portrait of horror. "It's gone. The clasp. My family's legacy. Someone has stolen it." Giovanni Bianchi, the family's long-serving butler, a man whose presence was as silent and solid as the villa walls, immediately sealed the exits. The storm outside raged, trapping everyone within the ancient stone. A classic Roman downpour, biblical in its intensity.
Stepping forward, his voice calm but firm. "Everyone, please remain calm. No one leaves until the carabinieri arrive."
Elara found herself beside him, a strange, undeniable alliance already forming. Her heart beat a frantic rhythm against her ribs, not just from the shock, but from his proximity. Who would do this?
Someone with nerve and motive. The Veridian Clasp isn't just beautiful, Elara. It's priceless.
He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that sent shivers down her spine.
And it carries a certain reputation. An old Rossi Belmonte legend says it protects the wearer, but brings misfortune to anyone who covets it unjustly. Superstition, perhaps, but some believe it strongly.
The carabinieri arrived, their formal uniforms a stark contrast to the villa's opulence. They began their interviews. Elara watched Evander, observing his quiet intensity as he spoke with the officers. He was in his element, a natural detective. The initial search yielded nothing. The clasp had vanished as if into thin air. A detective, Inspector Rossi, no relation to Evander, he gruffly clarified, seemed overwhelmed by the sheer number of possible suspects.
A true mistero. No forced entry, no broken glass. It was taken by someone in this very room.
As the hours crawled by, Elara felt a strange compulsion to help. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss beyond a simple theft. She started walking around the salon, her restorer's eye picking out details others might miss. Muttering to herself, "The display case, it's a simple lock, easily picked. But there's a scratch, not from forcing it open. It's too neat, a single deliberate line, almost decorative." Evander, who had been observing her, came to stand beside her. He caught the scent of her lavender and old paper, a smell he remembered from their past.
You noticed it too. I was about to examine it more closely. It's almost as if it was meant to be seen.
A distraction or a clue in plain sight? She bent down, inspecting the fine dust on the velvet pedestal. Her fingers brushed against something tiny, almost invisible. A minuscule dried petal. Candied violet. An anachronism. Who eats candied violets these days?
His brow furrowed in thought. They used to be a delicacy in noble Roman houses. My grandmother adored them. The Contessa still has them made for special occasions from a small pasticceria near the Pantheon.
He glanced around, his eye sweeping over the guests. Dr. Marcus Thorne was arguing loudly with the inspector about the incompetence of the police. Sophia Moretti, the young, overly eager assistant curator, was nervously twisting her hair, her eyes darting between Evander and the Contessa. Giovanni, the butler, stood stoically by a grand antique armoire. I also found this. She held up a small embroidered handkerchief. It was finely made, edged with delicate lace, and smelled faintly of a very specific old-fashioned rose perfume.
Not the Contessa's. She wears gardenia. And not Sophia's. She's all citrus and modernity.
He took the handkerchief, his fingers brushing hers, sending an electric current through her. Their eyes met, and for a fleeting second, the mystery of the clasp faded, replaced by the deeper, more complex mystery of them.
Clearing his throat. This scent, it reminds me of something from my childhood, a scent from my aunt's dressing table.
They continued their silent investigation, moving through the villa's guests. Sophia Moretti seemed unusually flustered. Sophia Moretti, to Evander, breathlessly. "Oh, Dr. Rossi, this is terrible. I saw the Contessa near the case just before it happened. She seemed very agitated. And then Giovanni, the butler, he kept going into that little study off the library. I thought he might be unwell." A red herring, Elara suspected. Sophia, so desperate for Evander's attention, might be trying to impress him with her observations or even mislead him.
The Contessa has been under pressure lately. Financial difficulties, rumors say. And Giovanni is fiercely loyal. He wouldn't betray her.
Elara walked past Dr. Thorne again. He was still agitated, but she noticed he kept adjusting his cufflink, a nervous habit. She also noticed a faint, sweet smell coming from him, a floral note almost drowned out by his aggressive cologne. Whispering to Evander, "The candied violet, it's on him. I caught the scent when he moved his arm. He must have picked it up from the pedestal after it fell. But why?"
He's too clumsy to be subtle, and too arrogant to try and hide a small detail like that. He's a blusterer, not a thief.
They retreated to a quiet corner near a tall arched window where the rain streamed down, blurring the ancient gardens outside. The city sounds were muffled, creating an intimate bubble around them. It feels too easy. No forced entry, a specific group of suspects, a valuable item. Agatha Christie would scoff. There's always a hidden layer.
A faint smile touching his lips. You always did love a good puzzle, and you always saw the patterns others missed.
The compliment, gentle and sincere, warmed her. And you, Evander, you always understood the nuances of human nature, the motivations behind the masks people wear. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and the protective walls around his heart seemed to crack just a fraction.
Why did you leave, Elara? That summer, you just vanished.
The question hung in the air, heavy and raw. Elara looked away, twisting her silver ring. I thought you did. I woke up and you were just gone. Your things packed. I assumed you'd made your choice.
I was called away urgently. A dig site in Syria, suddenly viable. My phone, it was stolen at the airport. I tried to contact you to explain, but I had no address, no way to reach you. I assumed you'd moved on.
The rain outside seemed to slow, the thunder becoming a distant grumble. A misunderstanding. A cruel twist of fate. A silent, shared ache bloomed between them, the weight of 15 lost years. I waited for months. Then I left Rome. It hurt too much.
I understand. I should have tried harder. I regret it. Every single day.
The moment was fragile, suspended between the past and a tentative future. The mystery, however, still beckoned. Let's focus. The scratch mark. The candied violet, the perfume. What if the scratch isn't about entry, but about marking a path? The clasp isn't just stolen, it's redirected.
Redirected? Like a message?
Yes, this isn't a random thief. This is someone who knows the villa intimately, someone who knows its secrets. The scratch, it's near a specific carving on the pedestal base. Look at the carving. It's a stylized oak leaf.
Evander leaned in, his gaze following hers. The Rossi Belmonte family crest. The oak symbolizes strength, longevity.
And what if that oak leaf isn't just decorative? What if it's a directional arrow to another part of the villa? The Contessa's family is obsessed with legacy. What if the theft wasn't to sell it, but to hide it, to protect it?
His eyes widening with realization. The legend. The curse. My grandmother used to say the clasp was a burden as much as a blessing. She was terrified of it. The Contessa. She inherited that fear.
He put his hand on her arm, a steady, comforting weight.
My Aunt Chiara. She's quiet, a scholar, but deeply devoted to the family history. She's the only one I know who still uses that old rose perfume, a blend my grandmother taught her. And she's the one who would believe in the curse.
Chiara? But why would she steal it from her own aunt?
The Contessa might have intended to hide it herself, to stage a theft to remove it from public view, fearing the curse. Chiara, overhearing, might have decided to protect it herself, believing her aunt was simply trying to hoard it, or even sell it secretly. She would know the villa's hidden passages better than anyone.
A new perspective. Not a theft for greed, but a misguided act of protection.
The small study off the library. Giovanni kept going there. It's often locked, but there's a hidden compartment behind a rotating bookshelf. My grandfather used it for his most sensitive papers.
A closed circle of suspicion indeed. No one left the villa. The Carabinieri are looking for a simple thief. But this is far more intricate. It's a family drama, played out on an ancient stage. They found Inspector Rossi explaining their theory. He was initially skeptical, but Evander's reputation, combined with Elara's precise observations, swayed him. They led him to the small study behind the library. The storm outside began to clear, a sliver of moon appearing through the ragged clouds. Evander pressed a specific book on the shelf, an ancient Roman history, its spine worn smooth. With a soft click, a section of the bookshelf rotated inward, revealing a small, dark recess. Inside, carefully wrapped in a silk cloth, was the Veridian Clasp. Beside it, a small, handwritten note in elegant cursive. To protect what we truly cherish, sometimes we must hide it from the light. It was signed, simply, Kiara. Kiara was found shortly after, pale but resolute. She confessed, explaining her actions were to safeguard the family heirloom, to keep it from the perceived curse and her aunt's erratic decisions. The Contessa, upon hearing the truth, was furious with her niece, yet clearly relieved the clasp was safe. The Carabinieri concluded it was a complex family matter, not a criminal theft, and released Chiara with a stern warning. As the guests began to depart, the storm finally broken. A fresh, clean scent filled the air. Elara and Evander stood in the now quiet salon, the events of the night fading into the shared memory of a truly extraordinary experience. You were right. It wasn't about greed. It was about fear and love in its own misguided way.
Like us, Elara. Fear and love.
He took her hand this time, his touch gentle, tentative, but firm. The silver ring on her finger still gleamed.
We missed 15 years. A lifetime. But tonight felt like a beginning.
It did. It really did. His thumb stroked the back of her hand, a small, intimate gesture. Her gaze met his, and this time there was no turning away, no pretense of formality, only the raw, beautiful possibility of a second chance. The moon, now fully emerged, cast a silver glow through the villa windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny, hopeful particle of possibility. The ache was still there, a phantom limb of lost time, but now a new spark ignited, burning brighter. Rome, ancient and eternal, had given them another chapter. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear that second chances are real. Please like, share, and subscribe to keep us spreading love and hope.